Anthony, welcome.
Thank you, Willis.
Okay, so to commence the session, you could just start by letting us know who is Anthony. Besides, we are saying the district director. Aside from the district director, tell us, who is this Anthony Wang'ondu?
Thank you, Willis. And you know, that is always such a difficult question, because what angle does one take? Do you start off by talking about your family? Do you start talking about your job and things like that? But let me just do it chronologically. I am the firstborn of 4 siblings, and I'm married with 2 daughters, 2 lovely daughters, who basically are the inspiration for the things that I do. And I'm always happy to see them also when they make boss moves. I am a qualified accountant, a supply chain professional, and a corporate director. I work for a company called Davis and Shirtliff. And apart from that, on the side, I do a little bit of teaching and training, apart, of course, from the passion that I have for Toastmasters.
Oh, thank you for that, Anthony. I hear that you're also gearing your kids towards making boss moves. So you could start by telling us, how long have you been a member of Toastmasters International?
I joined Toastmasters in 2009, October of 2009 is when I joined SEMA Toastmasters. At that point, there were only 4 clubs, and SEMA's meeting place, which still is the United Kenya Club, it was most appropriate for me. So I joined in the October of 2009, which is now 13 years as a Toastmaster.
This is how many? Currently, the Toastmasters District 114, is having 80 clubs, isn't it? That
84 active clubs. Yes. 84 active clubs. We're hoping by the end of this Toastmaster year, we'll at least get to 90 clubs.
Yeah, that's nice. Could you take us through your journey as a Toastmaster over those 13 years that you've been a Toastmaster? What roles have you gone through? Were you a member for all of the 13 years, or did you take up roles over the period? Enlighten us on that.
All right, thank you for that question. I've been a consistent member for the 13 years. I have not missed any of the renewal sessions. So it's been 13 very exciting years. The reason I joined Toastmasters in the first place is because I am a very shy person. I struggle with standing in front of crowds, initiating conversation with strangers, and this was beginning to affect my career. In 2009, I just been made a general manager, and a big part of my job was, and still is, making presentations to the board, to groups of people, to my team. And I was really, really struggling. I felt that I wasn't effective. I was too self-conscious. And in a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I always credit her for making me join Toastmasters, Angie Raria, one of our first DTMs in East Africa, who suggested to me that I should consider visiting her club, Kwanza Kenya. And despite much reluctance, it was a fantastic experience. So I visited her club. I listened to some fantastic speeches. I was impressed by the way it was organized, the fact it started bang on time and ended as it was, as they said, 8:30 on the dot. And I was so overwhelmed that I asked her whether there's another club, and I visited SEMA. I liked SEMA, and I joined almost immediately. I the first role I took on, the following year, I stood for the position of Sergeant at Arms and lost. The gentleman who stood against me was a much better speaker, much braver, and he took the day. But the following year, I was asked to volunteer to be the vice president for membership. And that is one of the roles that I remember really, really enjoying. And I hope to be vice president for membership soon as I finish my role, because I really enjoyed being VPM. After that, I was vice president for education before I was president for SEMA. And shortly after that, we started the journey towards being a district. So we formed what is known as a territorial council. I think that was in 2018, if I'm not wrong. And Rosie Rana was our first territorial chair, in fact, the one and only territorial chair. And she asked me to be an area director. I had no clue what that was all about, but I said yes. And I'm sure I made a hash of it, but it was quite interesting. I got to visit very many clubs. At that time, our clubs had increased to about 17 or 18 clubs. And it was really nice to visit them, especially the farthest club from Nairobi was Mombasa Island, and which meant taking a trip to the coast just to visit the club. Then in 19, I was division director together with Gilbert, looking after the Kenyan clubs while he looked after the Ugandan and Rwanda clubs. And that is when we really began asking ourselves, can we make districts? Can we become a true district? And the target that was set for us was to get to 50 clubs. The following year I was club growth director. We were a provisional district at that point, and we worked really hard to grow clubs. I think that year we added something like 13 or 14 clubs. And we were confirmed to be a district the following year when Gladys was district director and I was a PQD. And then this year, it's been my privilege to be district director. So quite an interesting run, and I have enjoyed the tumbles and turns along the way.
Something worth noting is that since 2018, we've had a growth from around 20 clubs to 80 clubs. That is really impressive, district director. So you mentioned that you were initially a shy boy, but then last year you decided to take up the district director role. What made you make the move? What sparked in your mind and made you decide to become a district director?
It's a good question. I think it's more out of a sense of service. I really would love to see more and more clubs within our area, within our region. East Africa, in my view, is the most vibrant side of Africa. People talk about West Africa and the energy they find in Nigeria and those kind of countries. People talk about South Africa and the sophistication that has been in that country. They talk about North Africa, but I think the most exciting part of Africa is East Africa. And in my view, we will be the leaders of this continent. We shall show this continent how to make boss moves at the table of nations. And I would love to be part of that. I would love to be able to sit back and say, I did a little bit in helping and pushing and prodding and giving opportunity to young East Africans to be the leaders of tomorrow. Africa, if you're to look at history, has come from very far. It was at one point the home of civilization. It basically lent the world with a lot of advantages in terms of technology, in terms of science, in terms of culture, and then went through a dark period before swinging back to what we are seeing now, the rise of Africa. And for me, I'm very proud of that. I'm proud to be an African. And for me, being district director, helping District 114 become much bigger, much better, much more impactful is a little bit of service that I can give back to my motherland.
That's interesting. we can assume that your love language is acts of service. So what benefits of growth opportunities have you discovered in your 13 years of being a Toastmaster up to this point?
Well, Willis, you probably don't believe that I'm a shy person, and so do many others. And I can credit that to the experience and training as a Toastmaster. How to compose yourself, how to think through what to say, even as you stand on your feet. And I think that has been the greatest reward that I have personally received as an individual. Just 10 years ago, I was not about to stand in front of any crowd to say anything. And that was the work of some other people. But then again, a leader must be able to communicate, must be ready to communicate, and must stand in front of a group of people and communicate. So I believe that that has been the biggest gift of leadership that being a Toastmaster has given me. In addition to that, I've discovered there is so much more to being an orator, to being a speaker, to being a leader. And I think I'm hardly scratching the surface. And I believe that I have so much more to learn, so much more to experience and to grow as a leader. And I look forward to continue being a Toastmaster for a very long time.
Thank you for that. We are both here graduating from shy boys to very great communicators. So you said you're currently holding the international business position at Davis and Shuttle. Would you say that what skills would you say you've got from Toastmasters that made you make such big moves to become the international business director at Davis and Shirtliff?
Yeah, Willis, I would say there are very many things that I have transferred from my Toastmaster journey to my professional position. In fact, I do not see the difference between the two. The lines are now blurred because a lot of the things that I learn as a Toastmaster, I am able to find areas of application in my professional life. Let me just share a few. The first one is feedback. When you come for a club meeting, you give a speech or you take on a role, you get immediate feedback. There will be a speech evaluator who will stand up and tell you, these are the areas where you excelled, these are the areas you need to work on. The general evaluator will tell you as a timer, as a grammarian, that you could have done this better and you did this very well. And feedback is what grows any Toastmaster as a leader. Now, in the office, every year we have appraisals, staff appraisals, where we give feedback to members of our team. And previously for me, and we do this in June at DNS where I work. And for me, June was the worst possible month for me. And to cap it all, the boss would not allow us to take leave during the month of appraisal. So you can't even run away. I really, really dreaded the month of June. But as I became a Toastmaster, as I learned more and more, especially about giving feedback and being an evaluator, the skills that we learn are so applicable in dealing with members of your team, being able to give them praise and telling them, that was a fantastic job, well done, you have excelled and you have exceeded my expectations, or telling them, this is an area that you can challenge yourself and do better and lay out a way that they can progress. Or just tell them, this is below expectations and some of the ways that you can improve are this, that, and the other. Actually, nowadays, the month of June is among my favorite months of the year when I get an opportunity to sit with my team and just to tell them how much I appreciate them and where I think they can take their career. That's just one aspect of the many, many skills that we pick up as Toastmasters.
That is one critical aspect, because human beings want nothing more than to feel valued. And also, as Toastmasters, we've coined a phrase feedback is the breakfast.
Correct.
Okay. Hello, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's one of the few things that we pride ourselves in, learning to give valuable feedback back to members of the Toastmasters Club. So as the topmost leader of the district, what advice, since we'll be electing the next leaders of the district, what advice would you give to the current aspirants or nominees who want to take leadership positions in the district?
I would encourage them greatly to embrace the opportunity for service with both hands. Let me tell you why. If you want to grow as a leader, you must work it out. In fact, one of the tenets of Toastmasters is experiential learning. You do not learn by reading or by listening or merely by observing, but actually by doing. So when you take on a leadership role, you learn as much as you're able to give. So you gain and the team gains. If you want to be an area director, you will learn to be able to be a listening ear to the club presidents and to the club executive committees that you're looking after. They will look up to you for you to give them advice on how to do certain aspects. You become the local expert. And that will enhance your ability to communicate to a small group on one-on-one, and also why it is important to research and to find out how to do things. When you become a division director, you're more of a coach, you're more of a trainer, and you have a number of area directors who come to you with problems and they need encouragement. They need you to step in and maybe run a training. They need you to encourage them. And you learn that being a leader is not just telling people what to do, but also helping others do what they need to do. And these are not skills that you can learn by reading a book or by observing somebody else do. You learn them by doing. By the time you're a district director, you're a program quality director, you're a club growth director, it's more about looking forward and looking at what possible vision that you can drive your team and say, this is what we can achieve. And then cascading it down to the leaders who are supporting the clubs that are doing the work. You can be frustrated because you're not at the sharp end. You're not the one starting a club. You're not the one chasing members to achieve their DCP. You're not the one converting a guest into a member. But that leader who's doing that needs your support in terms of training, in terms of encouragement, in terms of vision casting. And again, this is a leadership skill that you will not learn in any other place apart from Toastmasters. If you're to wait until the boss makes you the managing director so that you can learn how to make a strategic plan, how to develop a vision, how to say that in the next 5 years, this is where we want to be, and then at that point, you will not perform. But imagine you're a Toastmaster and you get this opportunity to lead a team, to lead a department, lead an organization. You already have the skills that you've been picking up in your journey as a Toastmaster. So not only the people who are aspiring to be leaders, every Toastmaster must seek to be a leader at the club level, at the area level, and at the district level.
You make Toastmasters seem like that extra tuition that people would go to in school to get ahead. And I believe the director has summarized a few tips, summarized the roles that most people would be applying for in the conference. So members of the audience who are applying, I believe you've got valuable advice. So Mr. Anthony, you are the top of the district. What is your next move? What is your next boss move?
I would like to differ from you a little bit. I am not at the top of the district. I would say I'm at the bottom of the district.
Okay.
And the member is the most important person in any district. And what I would like to do after this is certainly remain a Toastmaster, an involved, active, and passionate one, and be able to support the leaders who come after me. Remember that Toastmasters is a learning organization, and we want as many people as possible to have the opportunity not only to be area directors, to be club presidents, but as many people as possible to be district director, program quality director, club growth director. And we can only do that by churning out more people into the system. So what I would like to offer after my term as district director is my service as a trainer, my service as a club sponsor, my service as a mentor to as many people as possible to ensure that everyone is encouraged to grow as a leader. I think that in itself will continue putting our district at the top of the pile merely by getting as many leaders as possible. There are opportunities outside the district, of course. I mean, there is regional opportunities, international opportunities, but for now, I think I want to give my time and my energy to the district.
Okay. I think we can see how you ace the skill of making people feel valuable. I believe the members of Toastmasters in the audience, you hear, you're the ones who are at the top of the district. And I could say that what Anthony might have construed his shyness with something which was actually humility. He's showcasing a lot of humility. So Anthony, you are at the top of, you've been able to experience leadership at top organizations in the country. Is there a benefit that you'd advise other organizations to that they may be able to get when they join the TCON conference? Is there any benefit that any organization out there would get from joining the TCON conference?
That's a very good question. And I think what we can use the TCON, especially TCON 2022, is to showcase what we as Toastmasters are able to achieve in two ways. The first one, by running a fantastic conference, which I'm sure it will be, we can show that we've got the skills of organization, of leadership, of planning, and even of vision, because we actualize something that we have put down on paper and made it happen. The second thing is through the speeches, the keynotes, and the contests, we can demonstrate that we are indeed excellent speakers. Now, how do you marry the two? A leader is all about communication. And this is what I ask people whenever they ask me, what is the value of Toastmasters? And I ask them, your CEO, where you work, what does he do all day? If you work for a marketing company, I don't think he spends his time talking to customers or designing copy. He spends his time ensuring that the vision and the direction of the company is well communicated to the last person, which means his job is to communicate. And as you move from that continuum, that professional continuum, from where you join as a fresh graduate, a novice in the company, where your work is very technical, make this copy, write up this, up to the point where you're the CEO, you'll see you're moving away from technical skills towards communication skills. So therefore, I would like to have as many corporate chiefs, as many HR managers, as many department heads come to TCON so they can see the value that there is in terms of developing leaders who can communicate powerfully. And these skills apply to everyone at every level of their organization. I think that is one of the things that we must make a goal, not only for TCON, but for our district.
Wow, the wealth of wisdom in this man is so amazing. So I believe you've had all the HR, the corporate chiefs in our midst. Do join us on the TCON for a chance to get to see the benefits of Toastmaster and also get inspired to also join the movement. So part of the TCON is also the speech contest. Could you give them a word to psych up the contestants who will be participating for the speech contest?
You want me to speak to the contestants?
Yeah, to the contestants, yes.
All right. You have to take part in a contest to understand how tough it is to compete. I have taken part in many contests, and I can tell you, you never feel ready. You can practice, and still feel nervous minutes before you step onto the podium. However, that discipline of preparing, that discipline of understanding your message, that discipline of ensuring that you can put forward your message is a discipline that will live with you for a lifetime. Secondly, being competitive, seeking to be the best, seeking excellence is a valuable skill. And I think we should all aspire for it. And we should seek excellence in every aspect of our lives. And by starting off by seeking to be an excellent speaker, pitting yourself against others, then you'll find yourself seeking excellence in other aspects of your life. So to contestants, I would like to say thank you very much for stepping up. Thank you for showing us that it can be done and for sharing with us the fruits of your labor, because we know behind the scenes, you have worked very, very hard. But Willis, it's also important to note that the speech contests are organized by another group of very hardworking behind the scenes people. We almost never acknowledge them, but I can assure you the timers, the ballot counters, the judges, the contestants, they put in a really good shift. And if they don't do it, all the preparation, all the hard work of the speakers will come to naught. So there are two sides to Toastmasters at all times: the leadership and the speaking, and they cannot be divorced.
Yeah, that's a big picture. Having a big picture ensures that you provide benefits. You benefit both the contestants of the speech contests, and also, yeah, the other role takers will ensure that the speech contest will run smoothly. And the big picture, you can see our boss here is able to have that big picture very clearly. Yeah, so feel free, members of the audience, to ask any questions on the questions box. We can ask the boss here after when we are done. So, Anthony, we are all here. We all came here to meet a boss, and also we are looking forward to attend the TCON conference, where we're looking forward to learn how to make boss moves. I would like to give you a chance to welcome us to the TCON conference.
All right, thank you very much, Willis. I'm always afraid when somebody says you're the boss, because it has all sorts of connotations. But yeah, as district director, I would like to take this opportunity to ask each one of you to make sure that you sign up for TCON 2022. And make sure too that after you sign up, you get one other person to sign up. Our district is about 2,000 strong. Last year, we did not get more than 600 people sign in for our conference. Let's break the record this year. Let's have not only 2,000 who are members, but if we add everyone that we shall bring in, a colleague, a friend, maybe even your boss, give them the credentials, ask them to sign in, remind them the night before, and invite them for the conference. If we can get to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, then our conference will be of great impact. We can do this. Let's make the boss moves.
Well done, well done, well done, Stanton. Okay, members of the audience, I believe you've been welcomed to the TCON conference. We're looking forward to see you all. I'll ask my SAA to tell me if there are any questions from the audience.
Toastmaster William, Rahab
Yes.
is taking over that role, so she will highlight any questions that have been put, plus any comments. Rahab, over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Rahab, do we have any questions and comments?
Yes, we
In
have
the
a
chat.
question and a comment from Emily Manjero, who says that you're always an inspiration, Anthony. She's asking about what pathway and level you are at now and why it's important to keep going on other pathways.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm pursuing two parts at the moment. The first one is presentation mastery. I have a speech to go to finish level 5. And then I've just started on my second path, engaging humor. And I'm just finishing up level 1. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish that path this year and chase down my second DTM. Now, why do we need to keep taking on paths? I think the Toastmaster education program is very rich and it's got so many nuggets that we can learn from. The reason, for example, I'm taking engaging humor is because I think it is good to learn how to be funny. It's one of the things that I'm not. And I would like to be able to make people laugh, not crack jokes that fall flat on their face. It has always been said that anyone who can inject humor in their speech is much more memorable. And therefore, that's a skill that is worth pursuing, and I would like to pursue it. Of the 11 parts, there are many that will attract various members to them. Motivational strategies, how to be a better coach, our leadership development, and it all depends on what your current interest is. And you will find a path that you will like, and it will lead on to another path. And if you're like my friend Robert Karanja of SEMA Toastmasters, you'll soon be doing your 11th path. But of course, he's an outlier. I don't expect everyone to go that way. But there's so much to learn, and you cannot run out of things that you can become better at.
Okay, thank you for that. You're being asked, what are the dates for TCON?
TCON is towards the end of May. The dates are, I better be sure, right? The dates are Friday, the 27th. We start at about 6 o'clock. We shall have an opening, fairly easy, a little bit of an interactive period and an opening speech. Then on the Saturday, the 28th, we start off with a speech contest. We'll have 3 speech contests in the morning, and then our district council in the afternoon. We shall invite as many people as possible to observe how the annual meeting is conducted. It's sort of like the AGM of District 114. And during that meeting, we shall elect the leaders who shall lead the district into 2022-2023. Then on Sunday, we shall start at 12 o'clock with the highlights of the conference, a keynote speech as well as the international speech contest. The winner of the international speech contest will, of course, represent the district at the region quarterfinals. And I'm sure this year we shall get that person into the semifinals, which means they fly to the United States where the convention will be held for the finals. And if, imagine this, if we can get a Kenyan into the final, even take the international speech title, it will put us squarely and proudly on the map in the Toastmaster world. So 27th, Friday from 6 o'clock to 29th, Sunday, when we shall have the international speech contest.
Okay. Division F Director Wilson says, fantastic nuggets. Our fraternity is a safe space and we shouldn't fear to make mistakes. Let members vie for the various club membership leadership positions. The experience will make you a better leader elsewhere. I have been appreciated elsewhere because I have become a better leader. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions. Who has a question?
I can see one question. As DD, District Director, having a whole organization view, what aha moments could you share that you have and can transfer to workplace and social life?
That's a good question. And one of the things that has been most amazing for me is that all our leaders are volunteers. We cannot motivate them with pay rises, with bonuses, with trips to the coast, and all the other tricks that the corporates can use. And yet, we have to keep motivating our leaders to keep performing. What are some of the skills that you learn as a Toastmasters? Is how to bring out the best from our leaders. And it's all to do with feedback, encouraging them, highlighting their strengths, and then mentoring them so that they can raise the areas where they need to work on. Those skills, by the way, work incredibly well at the workplace. You'd be very surprised how when you just recognize the good work a co-worker is doing, goes a great way into raising their spirits, raising their performance, and raising their love for their job. So there are skills, there are very many skills that we can pick up from the leadership of that we perform at Toastmasters and apply directly to our workplace.
Well, there's I can see Altesh Tobias has raised his hand.
Yes, thank you. Didi Anthony, I have a question. Knowing, because we have known each other for years, and I know that you have quite an engaging, involving, position at work. How do you combine being the district director, being a parent, probably a grandparent and a grandfather, I don't know, but and being a district director, and of course also taking your path? How do you juggle all these balls to make sure that they all kind of balance?
Well, I hope they're all in the air. And sometimes one or two do fall. But I think very, very careful time management is key, and it can be done. One of the things that really attracted me to Toastmasters was the ability to hold the meeting within 2 hours. It still amazes me up to this day. When I went for that very first meeting in Kwanzaa, Kenya, it started at 6:30 on the dot and ended at 8:30 on the dot. I was absolutely blown away. And I've realized that the same applies to the things that we do in our lives. If I was to look at my typical week, I put aside Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and some Fridays for district meetings and district work. On Wednesday is my club night, and therefore I'm able to attend figure Toastmasters or semi Toastmasters on the Thursday that they are meeting. And on the other days when I have set aside for Toastmaster work, for district work, I am able sometimes to attend another meeting. So it appears like I have a lot of time for Toastmasters, but actually it's time I've set aside. As for my family, I am home every night by 8:30, 9 o'clock. My kids are in school, so therefore I don't have to see them every day, but I do see them every day. And we have breakfast together in the morning with my daughter before we go to school. So it's a question of putting aside time and dedicating it for various aspects. Of course, there'll be spillovers. There's sometimes when you need to take time out for a work project. There's sometimes you need to take time out to, for example, take a trip for Toastmasters. There are spillovers, but it's all around planning and dedicating time for the things that are important in your life.
Okay. Someone is saying that for you to reach home at 8:39, you use the expressway home. Okay. So the final question from Diane Wanja: any nuggets on how we can leverage our networks as Toastmasters in a more efficient way, a way that can directly benefit us in our community?
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Willis and Diane. One of the things that I've really felt sad about is the fact that we are not meeting face to face in our clubs, because when you meet face to face, the social aspect is a little bit more enhanced. But I find that the social side of clubs takes place quite naturally. When we meet at the club level, after the club, you chat with your friends, you find out what they're doing. The club will sometimes organize a social, something that we do encourage. And I think that way we naturally are able to socialize, to get to know one another, to share, to broaden our networks. Let me give you an example of how real that can be. When I joined Toastmasters way back in 2009, the other person who joined at the same time as myself is Agatha Juma, she of the Engage fame. And even back then, she was talking about giving a platform for other people to speak. It was not a clear idea for her, I remember, but it was an interesting idea. And we would sit around coffee with her and several other friends, beating about ideas of how it would work. And finally, she got a right angle to work on it. And I find that to be absolutely fantastic. Her partner at Engage is another Toastmaster. And that is just one of the many, many partnerships, many people who've come together and are working together. I know job opportunities that have been shared in the Toastmaster network that would not have been available to people if they were not Toastmasters. So I think when we meet at the club, when we meet face to face, the opportunities are there. We can be deliberate about them. Do not be shy to ask the person sitting next to you, what do you do for a living? Or how can I get an opportunity to present at your office, and so on and so forth. And I think it is only fair to do this because we are family. I have met very many interesting and important people in Toastmasters, and I want to embarrass one of the people in our meeting today. I hope she's still there, and that's Marion from Nairobi Toastmasters. Is she still there? I hope she is. You may not know, but Marion
I am Anthony, but I'm not gonna put on my camera. Yes, I am here. Yeah.
Great. Now, Marion is a friend of mine. We go back to university days, but let me tell you something. Marion is one of the most important managing directors in Nairobi today. And I don't think the guys in Nairobi Toastmasters are even aware of this. And the ones who might know can enhance their networks just by saying hi to her once in a while. And that's just one person. I'm sure there are many others that we will bump into when we visit clubs, when we interact at a social, when we are mentoring one another as we give a speech or taking on a role. And our networks will invariably grow and will impact our lives positively. Thank you, Marion, for allowing me to use you as an example.
Thank you, Anthony, and well done for the recognition.
I believe Shirley in the comments is a member of Nairobi Toastmasters, and she's saying we are making use of Marion. Thank you all for joining us. Anthony has mentioned that we are usually strict on time, but I'm saying we are surpassing the limit that we had set out. But we really appreciate having you, all 90 of you, up to this moment. That this is 23 minutes after the time that we had initially set out. Just before we leave, we'd have our SAA set out a poll that you can complete to get some feedback. As we say in Toastmasters, we believe in the tenet, feedback is the breakfast of champions. And us, as Toastmasters, would like to collect feedback from you so that we can know what we need to do better. Thank you all for coming. You've gotten a chance to listen to our boss mover here, Anthony Wang'ondu. He has given you a brief of what TCON is all about. You've been able to tap into the wealth of knowledge that he is, from traversing all those roles, from failing as an SAA to becoming the district director of Toastmasters East Africa. So I believe you've gotten some useful nuggets that you can be able to apply. For those non-members who were able to join, I believe you've gotten some benefits that you could be able to take advantage of, and also that can lure you to join Toastmasters, that will enable you to thrive, not only in your social life, but also in your career, such that you can be able to have, it's not a cheat, but have an upper hand in your career and your life. SA, are we done with the polls?
Waiting for you to allow me to run it.
Okay,
so launching it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just take a couple of seconds, probably 10 seconds. You should be able to do that. See whether we can get to 100%. And we are done. Thank you so much for sharing your feedback. Back to you, William.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all for attending the session. I would like to thank you, our guest speaker, the district director. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and for sharing the knowledge that you've been able to acquire in your 13 years as a Toastmaster. And also from your career being a boss mover. I can't stop saying the word boss. Apologies for that. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity to get some insights into some of the knowledge that you've been able to acquire so far. We'll have 2 more sessions, similar sessions, as we get closer to the TCON conference, which will be on 27th of May. We'll have 2 more sessions where you'll get a chance to listen to, I'm not sure if it's similarly exemplary people like Anthony, but I'm certain similarly exemplary people like Anthony, and get to know how to make boss moves in various aspects of your life. So with that, I'd like to thank you all, wish you a blessed evening, and I would like to end the meeting. Thank you, my team, the SAA, the Rehab. Thank you all for supporting me to make this a success. With that, you're all free to live at your own pleasure. Stephen, you are indulging us with some good music. I think you can progress as people live, continue to live.
In my mind.
You're all free to live. Thank you all for being with us.
This is where we all came from.
People are still enjoying it.
In my head, this is where we all came from. In my mind, in my head, this is where we all came from. In my mind, in my mind, in my head. This is where we all came from. The dreams we had, the love we shared. This is what we're waiting for. In my mind, in my head. This is where we all came from. In my mind, in my head. This is where we all came from.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, thank you very much for all this. I believe you can share with me the results on the poll so that you can get the feedback from the attendance. I can see some few people I know, like Vincent, who are still here. Yeah, but we can now, more people are joining, so I believe we can end the meeting since we're done. Wishing you all a good night. Yes, let's end the meeting.